So, as I just said, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Um, so, as many of you are aware, we have currently a digital option for submitting your PRC, your tenure review, tenure promotion binders using TK20, which is not the world's most user-friendly interface, either on the submission or the review side. And so based on the feedback from that, we did some surveys of folks who had reviewed a lot of these and folks who had submitted by this method. And what came up was simplicity, obviously ease of use, and something that was familiar to most people. And what was most familiar and recommended was some kind of cloud drive system, and Google Drive seemed to be the fit for that. We did consider Canvas, but some people aren't as familiar with Canvas, and that could become a lot more work around the work. So faculty could end up putting a lot of time and effort into crafting a Canvas shell rather than just sharing their materials. And so we wanted something that was as accessible as possible. We went with Google Drive over, say, OneDrive or Dropbox or any of the others out there because we have a license for it, is the short answer. And the longer version of that is that gives us protections. It gives your data protections, privacy protections, but it also gives it protections. If Google does something, we can sue them. If we're using something that we don't have a license, we have less recourse. So with that all out of the way, what I'm going to do is jump right in and show you how the system looks from the submission standpoint. And then I'll take some questions, and then I'll go through some tips on how to do that. Like I said, I'll have a time for questions, but feel free to jump in if you do have a question along the way. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat, but since I'm going to be sharing my screen, that might be hard to see. So do feel free to let me know if there's something in a chat. So where I'm going to go. Okay, so you'd start out here. This is our main academic affairs page. You all have the link directly, but I wanted to show you how to find it as well. You go down here to faculty resources and evaluation, tenure and promotion. And then online digital materials will take you down here. So here's our page with the basic instructions. And I see some of you have already gotten started on this, which is great. The first thing you're going to do is request a folder. You can certainly build your materials in any Google folder you want to, or on your hard drive or wherever. But this system isn't one where you're going to then go and share with the people on your PRC or manage that sharing yourself. That's all done behind the scenes. You don't need to think about that. So this is my go-to test thing. And because I see Leanne on my screen, I'm going to say that Wolfie is in natural science and mathematics. And that's basically all I have to do to request a folder. So now I'm going to go in this and wait. So behind the scenes, what's happening is there's a script running that's not only creating that folder, but adding subfolders in there and sharing those with you. And now you see you've got an email telling you it's been created. Link back to the instructions website. And so I'm just going to click on this. And it's going to open that up for me. And there's another document in there with instructions as well, just in case. And this is something that you can go back to. If you just go to shared with me, you'll find it. You can also, you can star that folder, so it'll show up in your starred. Or you can add a shortcut to Drive if you want it to show up right in your My Drive space. Okay. So the only folders that are in here are just those top level folders that are, oh, this is delightful. Give it a second, it'll be back. It takes a minute for it to completely work through the process. So the idea is these are the top level folders for that are in the CBA, the categories of documents that should be in your materials. If you're a librarian, you'll have an additional one here. So librarians will have a, see, told you to come back, a 2A teaching and then a 2B librarianship. So they'll have 2. The rest of you will just have the 5. And once you're within those folders, you can do whatever you want. And so if you want to dump all of your materials into one folder, or just the main folder for that type of material, go for it. If you want to make subfolders to organize things, which I do recommend doing a little bit of that at least, you can do that as well. I highly recommend giving your materials a name that is clear and easy for folks to understand what is going on. And a lot of divisions require in each section a summary statement of what is in that section. So even if your division doesn't require that, it can be something that's helpful to guide those reviewers as they're going through to understand what they're looking at and what part it plays in your overall scholarship and teaching career. So once you've got some materials in there and you want to take a look at what is it going to look like when what is it going to look like when that table of contents is created, then you're going to go either, let's see, I'll pull up these instructions. You're going to do this, create update table contents, or you're just going to go on this page. And so this is all driven by forms, essentially. You submit a form to tell it to do something. And so you want to take a look at what that table of contents is going to look like for you. You submit, that's all you have to do. You don't fill anything out. That's going to take a little while longer to do because what it's doing on the back end there is, it won't take as long for this, but it's going to go through and take a look at everything that's in your folders and the structure of those, and it's going to lay them out in a document and have links to each of those things. And since the system is still, oh, here we go, it's actually done. So for Wolfie McMascot, there's not really anything there because I haven't put anything there. But what I can do is, let's see, I can just drop a document in there. I'm going to go back to this update table of contents and tell it to update. And now it's got that in there. It's still actually, I've opened this while it's in the process of creating it. So there we go. So now folks can click on that, or they can just click on the folder and the folder will open. So this is kind of boring looking because there's nothing in there. So here's my so this is my sample that I made because I'm a nerd. I made it, Dwight Schrute. And so Dwight has a few more things in there. He's put some stuff in there. And so it's got a list laid out here of the various items he has. And so based on your folder structure, it's going to indent, it's going to organize it. It's going to list the folders first, along with the items in each folder, and then the items that are just floating alone in that folder. So, I mean, what I would suggest really is put some stuff in there, see how it shows up before you put everything in there, so you can get a sense of how you want to structure this. And, you know, all of this is linked so that folks can, you know, take a look and see. I did actually find research that references Dwight Schrute. So I was very pleased and had to add that into his profile or his binder. So that's the quick and dirty of it, of assembling your binder. Once you're done assembling, you're going to submit your materials. And once again, we have a lovely Google file, Google form. So basically this is going to say, did you create the table of contents? If you didn't, it's going to create it for you anyways. But I want folks to actually go and see so they know what it's going to look like. If you make changes to the table of contents, they're going to get wiped out. This was one of the things that was clear from the reviewers is they wanted a consistent look, so that they, as especially, you know, you think of the dean and the volume of materials they're looking at. So having some consistency in what they expect to see in the table of contents is really important. So that's why it's, that part is going to be generic, but it's auto created for you. So you don't have to go through and create all the links and all that stuff. So you just say, yes, I am ready to submit, just like making sure, because you're going to lose the ability to change anything once you do this. You'll still be able to see it, but it's going when you do that. Yes, I'm really annoying with the confirming on this one. And so that's done. I will change that to be a little more useful there. And so what that will do is when you submit, it will send an email to the folks on your division's PRC and with a link and instructions for them. When they're done, they'll upload, when they're done and they've done their meeting with you and talked to you, they'll upload, there's a form they'll fill out to upload the letter and the form, the review form, and that then gets sent off to the dean. And then the dean gets access to the folder at that point. And that's basically the process. I'll show you the email that the division chairs or the DPRC will receive in a moment here. I have too many emails and I can't find it. Well, I'll show you guys that in a minute. So that's basically the long and the short of it. It's almost completely automated on the back end. So it's not something that you have to wait for me to do anything. That's kind of that. So I'll take some questions and then I'll go through just some like what to put in there, what to not put in there, how to put there. I'll check the chat, but feel free to unmute yourself.
Bev, I have a question. It might be a little specific to me.
I don't know, we have 300 faculty members, so maybe not.
If you're on a DPRC and you need to obviously not be on review of yours and you have somebody else who's going to step in, how do we indicate that to you so that we're not being sent materials that we shouldn't see because it's a review of ourselves?
You know, that's a good question, actually. I'm going to have to think about that. I mean, the worst that would happen is you would get emailed a link to your own folder.
Okay.
But we would want to make sure that other person was added in as well. So that's a good, thank you for raising that. I'm going to take a quick note about that. Dan, your question?
Yeah, I get what service, scholarship, and teaching might include, but front matter, what is that?
That is in the CBA. That's the language it uses. It's probably not the language I would have chosen. So front matter, off the top of my head, I think it's like the CV, it's past letters, I want to say, like past letters from DPRCs and such. Oh, Leanne, you're so good. Annual report, CV, overall statement, past letters. But yeah, it's in the CBA appendix that has it there. It's like a table. So if you scroll through and you see like several pages of tables, you're in the right place. Erlene.
Yeah, I have two actually fairly quick questions probably. The first, if you submit a form to request this, is that indicating that you're going to submit this way? Or could I request the form to sort of be working on it and submit a different way this year?
Yeah, you can do that. You can try it out, even if you're not going to submit this year and you just want to get started because you're just that ahead of things. One, I'm jealous that you're just that ahead of things. And two, yeah, you can totally do that. It doesn't commit you to submitting this way.
Okay. No, I'm not that ahead. I just have everything in hard copies right now. So I don't want to do it right before going up for tenure, but I would like to transition next year. And then, so my second question is then, once everything has been submitted and gone through the process, will all of those folders then be reopened to you so you don't have to keep creating new folders the next year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that is correct. I see Leanne's hand next. Or no. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So the ordering within a folder and how it shows up on table of contents, is it alphabetical? Is it something else? How does that work?
Did you look at my webpage already? So it is alphabetical. So when it's in there, it's going to order things alphabetical, and then anything within that is alphabetical. It's an iterative kind of process, but it is alphabetical, which leads to, you can number things, but keep in mind that when numbers are ordered alphabetically, they may not show up how you expect. So alphabetical order for numbers would be 1, 10, 2, right? So to get around that, you're going to put 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. Or if you have 100 items in a folder, you're going to go 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 2. And on the instructions website, I have this out there, so in case you're more visual than I am, and need to take a look to see what that actually means. Thank you, Lan.
So as a follow-up to that, first of all, I'm tempted to do it in binary, but I won't. But second of all, the table of contents that we see once we do the refresh table of contents process, that will show exactly what our PRC shows, right? So we can.
Yep. And that's the other thing that everybody and I like better about this is what you see is what they get. They're going to see the same folder structure. They're going to see the same table of contents, the same layout. There's no guesswork of what your committee is going to see. And the committee doesn't have to look at a long ass report that doesn't have structure. So thank you. Yeah, Janine.
Great work on this.
Thank you.
You used PDF files as an example. I'm assuming we can add any file type.
Yeah.
What about web pages, like live web pages? Can we link to them somehow, or do the links need to be in a document?
Yeah,
that
so
they're
that's what I would recommend, is to put those, if you have something on the web, whether it's a web page or something with a live link, create a Google Doc or a PDF and put that link in there. And that also gives you the opportunity to put information about what they're going to and what this is. There's on that instruction page, there's some information about different types of materials that you might have and how to add those. But, you know, the short answer is you can upload anything, any kind of file that you want to. But keep in mind that the programs that you have on your computers, and even your DPRC may have on your computer, the dean and the provost may not have those types of programs or apps. They may not have the ability to open those specialized files. So do your best to make sure it's like something
that's universal.
That's universal, right? That my dad could open, you know, if he clicked on it. And you can upload like Word and Excel and PowerPoint. I do recommend converting those to PDF because they'll load faster probably. And it's less likely to show up weird because somebody has a weird setting or doesn't have a font or whatever that situation is. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I saw your comment, Janine, about the name of the library division. I'll change that. Omar.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Hi.
Okay, so I'm assuming that we're still going to have access to TK20, right? I think I submitted last year through TK20. And I think it would help me in terms of the organization and see how I did it last year to kind of replicate that in this new system to kind of keep the organization. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. If you had TK20 access last year or the year before, you still have that access. You can still go in there. We're not going to take that away. If you want to look at that. If you want to submit through TK20 this year, you can. It's not my favorite system, but I am one person. So yeah, we're not, especially because folks do have materials in there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It wasn't very user friendly, but I'm just, saying I think it would help me refresh my memory, like what goes in this folder, what did I include last year? It's well organized as opposed to what I have on my computer, which is not. Compared to that.
Yep. Absolutely. Gareth?
Yeah, thanks. Sort of building on the TK20 stuff. I'd like to follow up. I think it was a question that Kristen asked actually in the chat originally about, is there any way to migrate over materials easily from TK20 that you've already uploaded? That's the first part of my question. I have another TK20 question.
Okay, so the unfortunate answer is no, at least not easily. You can download your documents from TK20. You have to go in and get each one individually. There's a faster way to do it than going through your interface. So on that instructions page under the FAQ, this question is down there, and there are instructions to pull up a report, and then you just right click or command click or whatever Mac people do, and download those attachments from the report. So it's a little faster. It's part of the reason that we're trending away from TK20 because of that sort of thing, that there isn't a good way to export that. Okay.
And then as a related question to that, whenever I was, say, uploading a publication in TK20. There was this whole big form that I had to fill out with all the metadata of what type of publication it was and what year did I start working on it and finish working on it and all of these things. Is all of that required by the DPRC? And like, I'm gonna have to remake that sort of, or can I just put the PDF of the publication up there?
So I was vigorously nodding her head. So I would say, you know, if the PDF of the publication has the information, which most of them, I assume, you know, they've got that on the main page usually, go for it.
Okay.
If it doesn't, you might want to like put, you know, make your own cover sheet for that.
Right.
And add it to the front of the PDF that says like,
Right.
you know, and by the way, if you don't have the version of Adobe Acrobat that can like add pages and do all of that stuff, you can get that. We have a license. So talk to UCS if you don't have a full featured Acrobat on your computer to manipulate PDFs.
Okay. All right.
So,
thank you.
yeah, totally. Sandy?
Yes, this is regarding teaching materials. Much of my, not much, but some of my classes are online. Is there a way to, I don't know, link to Canvas so that they can have access to those teaching materials?
Yeah, you know, there is. And I have to admit to not being an expert in Canvas. But so there's what I talked to Michael Reese about this, who's our director of academic innovation, and his suggestion is to clone the course in Canvas. Maybe that's not the right terminology, but to make a copy, and then you can make it publicly accessible, because that you don't want student information to be visible.
Right. Is there, I would probably need some help with this particular process. Is there someone I can ask or go to?
Yeah, so they have, I'll put it in the chat, but so I'm going to put that's the email address for academic innovation. Now both the A and the I are supposed to be capitalized, but it'll work either way. And then they probably have tutorials for doing this on their website. Yeah, that's the address. So I'm going to put that as well. The other thing is Canvas itself has a lot of materials. If you go into the help section in Canvas, that can guide you for, you know, just look up like public link or something like that. But if you're stuck, definitely reach out to them, and they can point you in the right direction to do that sort of thing. Yeah, there's no need to like take a million screenshots of your Canvas class and somehow try to translate that into like a Canvas course into a PDF. That would be painful and wouldn't quite capture it. So yeah, excellent question. Omar?
No, I think I didn't lower my hand. My bad. Or maybe I clicked that again. I have no idea.
That's all right.
Now I'm clapping. Wrong hand. I'm sorry. My hand clapped.
Thank you
I
for the
don't know.
applause, Omar, even if
I'm
it was
clapping.
inadvertent.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of skimming real quick through the chat here, and I think we've got Kristen asked, do we need to add past materials too, or just from here forward? So generally speaking, you do want your past materials in there. This is more of what I think of as a disciplinary, not in the negative sense of the term, question, something that your division chair or your DPRC chair can help to guide you on how much do you want to see the entire story, the entire picture of my academic career, and how much do you want to see what I heard someone term as, what have you done for me recently? Like what's happened since your last review? The general sense that I've heard, because I've had lots of folks ask about this, is that yes, your past stuff should be in there, but it maybe doesn't, depending on how long ago, it doesn't necessarily need to be as detailed as what you've done in the last year or two. And certainly if you're doing a review binder versus doing a full promotion or tenure application, you're going to be really thorough in those promotion applications. And I think that one of the main things to keep in mind is we're all human. So, and the CJ people can probably back me up on this. There's been a study of sentencing in courts, and basically, like, if you go to court, like you're a criminal defendant, make sure you get sentenced after lunch, not before, because the judge is going to be nicer when they have a sandwich in them. So I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. So the easier you can make things for your reviewers, the better off you're going to be. So, clarity, organization, consistency, these are all good things. Yeah, and y'all are going to do great. And any other questions from folks? Other than like, when is the pandemic going to be over? I don't know. Sorry. I got nothing. How are my students going to handle masks? Pretty good from what we've seen, with an occasional exception. But you may find your students are better with the masks than the people you see in the grocery store. They definitely will be better than the grocery store. All right. Well, I'll stop the recording and I'll hang out in case you have a question you didn't want to ask in front of the whole class. Otherwise, it's great to see you all. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful start term. Omar, you raised your hand again. Are you trying to applaud this time?
I actually meant to raise my hand this time. Are you going to email us the recording or make it available somehow?
Yeah, I'm going to put the recording on the website. Oh, stop.